Friday. Okay, we're live on both Instagram and YouTube. Let me turn my camera around and we'll wait a few seconds for you all to come on in. I was like, please let the sun go in. Please let the sun go in, y'all. It was 90 degrees today. We've been getting showers. Hello, hello. We've been getting showers, but I thought it was going to rain today, and then the sun came out and it hit 90 degrees, and I was like, I don't want my iPad to overheat again. So I was like, please, 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 just let the sun go in until we're done today. Hello, Jewel. How are you? Happy Friday. I hope y'all are ready for the weekend. I am. I'm telling you. I don't know about y'all, but I am ready for the weekend. I was like, today it was like, hello, Jen. It was so, I don't know. It's like time just stood still at work today. And I was like, okay, come on, come on, come on. But as soon as 4:30 hit, I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I've been waiting for. Hello, hello, Maureen. How are you? So we'll give Instagram a few more minutes. I see everybody coming in. Y'all know I got to tell y'all a story. Every time we come up with a topic, you know I have a story behind it. But we are talking about annuals versus perennials. I checked my mailbox yesterday. I did not get the seeds yet. I will check again tomorrow morning because I had a post office run I had to do yesterday. I checked, nothing was in there, but I will check tomorrow because I have another post office run that I have to do as well and get some things off. So we will definitely check. And again, I thank you so much. Um, I'm super excited to start those seeds. I'm just like ecstatic. Ecstatic. Can y'all believe that when I got off today, I know we go live at 6, but I was like, let me just make a quick run to the garden center, and they got so many beautiful things out there. But I was good. I did not get anything yet. So we're going to go ahead and get started on Instagram and YouTube. Happy Friday, y'all. We'll go ahead and get the housekeeping out the way, and then we're going to get started. So first thing, if you're not on our text message list, make sure you text the word "Let's Grow," LETSGROW to 474747. That's "Let's Grow" to 474747. We text you when we're about to go live, when we're having specials, when we're doing freebies. So definitely get on that list. I sent you all out a picture if you're on our email list of what the garden is looking like in the front, which was every time I pull up to my driveway, I'm just like, it's just so pretty. But I got to tell y'all why I chose annuals versus perennials today because that was one of the reasons. Also, if you're new, if you know somebody that's new, if you're new to gardening, make sure you download the 5 tips to a flourishing garden. That'll give you like a jump start to everything you need to do to get started gardening. And as always, we have seeds on our website, southernentertaining.com. We still have a few butterfly pea seeds available. I have another batch that I have to plant out. It probably won't be today. It really won't. It'll probably be tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll get some rain tomorrow. I always like to plant stuff out when it's like an overcast and put everything in the ground. So, we are going to get those in the ground. And just make sure you like and share. Tell someone about us. We are teaching beginner gardeners to stop imagining about a garden you wish you had, and let's grow one, and we are going to grow one together. That's what it's all about, y'all. And I've been having so much fun just watching everything grow. What I will have to tell you is I do have to come out and go ahead and pick all of my blackberries because I've yet to put the bird netting on. And I have to come out and pick my tomatoes when they're blush. And then it was a strawberry today that I wanted to pick, but I was like, just wait at least tomorrow or another day because with strawberries, like once you pick them, they don't continue to like ripen anymore, and they just look so pretty and red. I just love it. But what I wanted to talk to y'all about is annuals versus perennials. So in the comments, if you're like team annual, put team annual. If you're team perennial, put team perennial, because I would definitely like to know. And I'm going to tell y'all what team I'm on after I see some of the comments here on Instagram and YouTube. And this is stemming from every time I pull in my driveway, I just, it's just, I don't know. I sent a picture out if you're on our email list. And then if you look at the YouTube community, but once we're done rendering the video, then we will definitely put the thumbnail as the picture of what our front yard is looking like right now. Okay. So it's just so pretty, but I'm going to tell y'all why I gotta be, I gotta be on both teams, y'all. I'm on both teams. I can't pick a team. I am on both teams, but I did see some team perennials in the comments. I did see I love to be on team perennials, but I grow very small space. I can't commit. Let me see. I can't commit the real estate just yet. Jen is on team perennial. Josie is on team perennial. Jill says she guess she's on team annual. Um, she guesses she's on team annual. Yeah, I'm gonna get these comments together. I really am. I guess I'm on team. Okay, just veggies, and then Maureen said both. Okay, so y'all, I'm both. I am both, and let me just tell you why I'm gonna be on both teams today. So y'all take me on both teams. So the perennials I love having because growing with Donnie said you can't do both. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to do both though, Donnie. I'm talking about flowers and vegetables too, because a lot of our vegetables are what we consider perennials. Some are. I mean, I'm sorry, annuals. A lot of our vegetables are what we consider annuals, but there are some perennial vegetables as well too. For us here in Zone 8B, like our strawberries, they are what's they come back twice and they come back each year. And then I don't know, does anybody grow like asparagus? I know that is a perennial that comes back every year. I'm not, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, a lot of our vegetables are annuals. But I got to be on team both because, okay, so this is why we chose this topic. So we have Shasta Daisies in the front, and they are perennials. And so I was looking at the Supertunias, which is an annual, and I was saying to myself, when they both bloom together, it's going to be like a showstopper, y'all. And I'll make sure that I put the pictures up once the Shasta Daisy blooms. But the Shasta Daisy has not bloomed yet. And so you see just like a whole bunch of the Supertunias coming up. And they're just looking so gorgeous. And when I think back, like, you know how when you're, and I'm using my grandmother as an example, like I didn't realize what she was doing until a few years back. So she grew a whole bunch of perennials, but she grew perennials to where, depending on when they would bloom, like that's how she planted them so that she can have color all year. Because although perennials come back each year, a lot of the perennials will bloom during like a certain time frame, and then they're done. They'll probably die back depending on what zone you're in the fall and the winter, and then they come back up next spring. So perennials, they are a great investment to have because you definitely don't have to keep buying the same plants over and over and over again. But a lot of times, and I'm going to use this as an example, like she had a whole bunch of azaleas in the yard, and when spring came, I mean, everything was beautiful, but it just had that certain time frame to where they bloomed, and then that was it. So that's why she put other perennials in the garden to where, okay, once the azaleas was done blooming in the spring, then she would have other plants that will bloom in the summer. And then, other plants, because I can't remember her having any annuals. They were all perennials, but they were the perennials that bloomed at certain times. And now I get why she did that, so that she can have blooms all year long, like, but at different times. Because once those azaleas are done, that was it. That was it for them until the next year. But yeah, perennials do save you so much money. I love the perennials, but like right now, I want to see my Shasta Daisies bloom. And I'm like, oh, they're making me wait. They are making me wait. Like they've gotten big. You see all the flower buds coming on there, and they're making me wait. And I tell you another plant that we have that is so beautiful when it blooms, but it blooms during a certain period, and that's it. And that's the calla lily. So right now they are blooming beautiful, like a pinkish purple. But once they're done, like that's it. They die back for us in the fall. But if you've watched some of our YouTube videos, we are starting to the calla lilies are starting to self sow themselves. So that means like they drop seeds that I don't catch. And so like I have free calla lily plants coming up. And nowadays, like the Encore Azaleas, we have those. They're making some perennials to where they'll keep blooming. Like they may not put on as much blooms. Okay, so like the Encore Azaleas, they put a beautiful flush of blooms on in the spring. And we get some again around the end of the summer, the fall. But the thing is they don't put on like as much as bloom, as many blooms as they did like in the spring. So I love perennials, but I wish that they would just bloom a little bit longer. So that's where the annuals come in at. That's why I'm like I can't choose. So we use annuals because they have so many beautiful colors, but the annuals, they you plant them, they bloom. Now it's important that we keep them deadheaded, and in the case of us with the supertunias, like around in about a couple of more weeks, I see that I'm going to have to trim them back so that they don't get leggy. And that just depends on different plants. But they have some annuals. If you want to keep them going all season long, then you want to go ahead and like deadhead them when they're done, because that plant still is still using a little bit of energy. Although the bud or the bloom is dying, it's still using a little bit of energy to keep that going. So once you cut them off, that is telling your plant, hey, don't go to seed, because annuals is like a life cycle. It's like the seed, the germination, it blooms, and then its whole purpose is just to go to seed. But if you keep deadheading the annuals, it's telling that plant, don't go to seed yet, continue to produce the blooms. But you will notice that with annuals, you have a bloom, you have more time span in bloom. Most of the annuals that we grow here, they will continue to grow and grow and grow until about our first frost. And then once the first frost comes, that'll kill the plant off, and then we'll just pull it up, because the annual, once it's done, it's done. But the reason why I also like annuals is not only because it's like a long time period with the blooms, but each year it gives me something new to try in the garden. So where I had the supertunias at last year, something else that was totally different there last year. So every year I can kind of like experiment and try things and try new annuals, but I don't have to like commit to them. But the only thing about it is once they're done, like it's done. And you'll just have to replant another annual the next year, but you can try some new stuff, or you can try some new colors like that. So that's why I wanted to ask y'all, like, what team were you on? And I try to intermix a lot of the plants together to where I can still have a beautiful show, because y'all know I love color in the garden. Like I love seeing the pinks and the purples and the whites. There are some plants that we have in our garden right now that are red, and it's just I don't know. I'm putting them up there. I'm putting them up there with the pinks and the purple flowers that I absolutely love. But so for example, we have like roses, which is a perennial. They're starting to bloom again. The David Austin roses. That's why I thought about that. I'm going to read your comment in just a second. But It's another rose that I bought that it just did all its blooms and it dropped all its leaves, and now I see the leaves coming back on. But the David Austin, like they have their cycles too on when they bloom. And then again, we have the Encore Azalea in our garden, and it put on some beautiful blooms this spring. But this is a variety that they've made to where they will bloom again, because the old school azaleas that I grew up knowing about, you get one bloom off of them and then that's it. So you would, if you wanted to continue to see color in your garden, you needed to either plant some perennials that maybe bloomed in the summer, some that maybe bloomed in the fall, so you can just have a continuous color show. But like I said, there are some that they are starting to make that will bloom a little bit longer. A lot of our coneflowers or echinacea, they're perennials, but they have a longer blooming time span as well. But a lot of the companies are making them like a hybrid to where they will do that, and you can still save money, and you have a perennial that will come back each and every year, because I love for it to come back every year. Once they die back and I see them, I'll cut off all the other stuff, like cut it down, and then they'll come back next year. I just love seeing them like emerge from the ground. The daylily, we have that as another perennial that I absolutely have to divide this year. I really need to divide it because it's getting like too big for the pot. But that one dies back, but it comes back strong every year. That's how, I'll tell y'all this, and then I'm gonna go to the comments. That's how my grandmother used to provide like my mom and other neighbors with plants for free. Is because during the fall or the winter, depending on what it was, like the different grasses I can remember she had, and what else she used to divide, because my mom still has it in her yard now. But she had like perennials, and some perennials like the daylily, once it gets to a certain size, you can divide that and give it to people that come and say, hey, the plant is beautiful. The I have to show y'all a video because the garden continues to keep on giving, because we had some cone flowers that self sowed themselves, so we have them like popping up in the walkways. And I'm going to do those just like I did the calla lilies. I wait till they get a certain size, and I take this right here. I'll take this and I'll dig it up and put it in a pot with some potting soil, and you got a free plant. It's like the garden that keeps on giving. Like the garden will just give you so much, so much. But like you said, growing with Donnie, and who else said this? A lot of our vegetables are annuals, like our tomatoes. Unless now, I know a lot of people that stay in Florida that can kind of like overwinter their tomatoes and peppers. But normally, even for us, because around mid to late November, that's our first frost date. But a lot of the good vegetables are, they're annuals. So you may be on team annual. The peppers, and what else we got growing out here? The peas, like the black eyed peas, the cow peas, the snap green beans. Like they are annuals, or the watermelons, different things like that. They're annual, so that's what we get. But I gotta be on both teams, y'all. I have to. A lot of our herbs are, we do have some perennial herbs as well that come back each and every year. um like our thyme, I think our thyme comes back every year. The sage, we've been growing that for a while, but it's like herbs like our basil and stuff like that. This bird has no, I mean, he just doesn't even care anymore that I'm out here, and he's just eating the blueberries. I just thought y'all should know that. Like, he doesn't care, and I'm not even gonna bother him today. Just, he may be hungry. So let's go to the chat and see what y'all are talking about, because they don't even care anymore. So growing with Donnie, perennials are a money saver. Yes, they are money saver and labor saver and time saver as well. Especially our plants like the roses, like the hydrangeas, the calla lilies. You're right, and they just bloom so pretty. Although I just want them to bloom like a little bit longer. Like our hydrangeas, they're getting bigger. But they don't have any blooms on yet. We have another set of hydrangeas that have gotten blooms on, and those are the ones. It's like a hybrid too, where it blooms a little bit longer, and we did a video on that too. um, and I'm looking right at the name, but I do like the fact that now they're making perennials to where they will bloom or rebloom or bloom a little bit, or just have a bigger time span. So somebody, like some of us, must have wrote in and say, look, y'all need to come up with a way where they can bloom like at least all summer or all spring long. So I'm starting to notice a lot of perennial plants that are starting to have a longer time span when it comes to blooming, which is good because I love perennials. And I don't know if y'all have it at your garden centers, but like every around October, November, when they're getting ready for the holiday season, I know our garden center here, they put a lot of perennials on sale for like half off. And I grabbed up so many last year, some that I still haven't planted yet, but it's okay. I'm going to get them in the ground. If not, then I'll just give them away. I'll give them away. But I know someone asked me a lot of times about different plants, and y'all know it just depends. It just depends on what the plant look like. I am a big clearance shopper. Like a lot of times, I'll get my stuff off season and just pray that I'm here for next season and we'll use it. And the perennials for us here in Zone 8B, like we can actually go ahead and plant them in the fall, and let them let the roots get established. I'm okay with that too. Like I'll get perennials on clearance or on sale. Go ahead and plant them. Let the roots get established, and then so next spring they'll be established and they'll come back. Yes, more bloom time is great. Yeah, and that's the only thing about perennials. We just need a longer bloom time. Most definitely. Um, I think you did an unboxing on David. Let me tell you, I told y'all. Okay, so let me read it. I think you're doing an unboxing. You did an unboxing of David Austin roses. How are they doing? Every single David Austin rose I got, I wanted some more, but I wasn't willing to wait till 2022. That is a product, a perennial, the roses, that I will stand by. I'll stand by David Austin roses because the one I got from the garden center, and it may be the type of rose. I'm not talking about it because I'm looking at it now and the leaves are coming back. So it may be just the type of rose that will like bloom, 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 and then it just like shed it like all the leaves. But now the leaves are coming back on. I have no clue. But the David Austin rose, they took a little bit of break. They put on a very heavy flush in spring. I think we put some pictures up. If I didn't, I'll make sure. I did take some pictures. So if I didn't, I'll make sure I put it in the garden tour. And now they are starting to come back. Now I can say their roses, they pretty much like they're blooming now, and then they may take just a little bit of break when it gets July. Like July, August, they're like okay, but then they also come back in fall. And I got one more fertilization that I have to do, because what I try to do is when they first start to leaf out the roses, and I'm starting to see the growth come on early spring, is I try to give it some rose tone then. And then like now, I'm a little bit overdue. I was supposed to do it in May. I'll give it another dose of the slow release rose tone. And I've been nothing but happy, and they smell so good. If y'all remember me telling you a lot of times, or when I was growing up, and even in my 20s, I'm still in my 20s, but I roses were not my thing because they were at the store and I didn't see what the big deal was. And I'm like, it's just red rose. It doesn't smell like anything. But when you start growing your own roses, like these, a lot of times in the morning or when the wind blows, I can walk out here and I can absolutely smell these roses. And so yeah, if you want to David Austin rose, that's one I will recommend. I'll stand by them. I really will, because I've been nothing but happy with them. And we're growing some in the ground, and we're also growing some in a pot as well. So I definitely love them. If I can't eat it or use it for medicinal purposes, I don't plant it. And that's a good thing to do too, because we don't put anything on our roses, but we actually pick some. Like I'll do flower arrangements but we actually I put rose petals like in the tea in the tub, and it smells so good. But that's also good too, like if you do that, so that way you know that you could use it. But I just love to see color. I just love to see just so much color in the garden. Last weekend my husband was in Atlanta and he took a picture of someone's yard, and he was like, how do you like this? And I was like, they don't have enough color for me. And he was like, I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say it. I don't know, it's just something about color. It just brightens me up. And I guess that I get that from my grandmother, because all season, spring, summer, fall, is just everything. They're blooming at different times, but it was just always some type of color. Even my mom now, like, she has the cannas and she has like all of this stuff. We just like color. And so yeah, I'll do it. That's why I say I'm on both teams, y'all. Y'all just gotta help me. I'm on you gotta help me, because I'm on both teams. I'm learning about that as well. They will put all the good stuff on clearance and even throw them away. Yes, I think with some companies that they have to throw them away, like they can't put them on clearance. I'm not sure. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to talk to the garden manager, because now some of them, like the rack that I looked at today, I was like, okay, y'all just wheel, yeah, you can wheel this to the dumpster, because I don't think any of them was coming back. Sometimes I can, like, it was an annual that I just bought that looked so pretty. I did it last week, and sometimes I can look at a plant and I can say, okay, without, I just see how much effort I want to put into it. And I looked at this plant. It was pretty. It was regular $35, which for annual, normally I don't pay that much. So it was on clearance. And I just looked at it and I just said, I know without much effort I could bring this back, because what was happening is, remember, with an annual, it's all about seed germination, produce beautiful blooms, and then once the blooms die, start to go to seed. So all this needed was a little bit of deadheading. It needed to be potted up, and like right now, I can already see like new blooms coming on. And what I did is I use Biotone, the slow release fertilizer, because that's good for the roots to get established. So I put a little bit of that in a pot and just put it in a bigger pot and been watering it, and it already is bouncing back. But yeah, there's some things that it's like, it's some plants today that I almost picked up and I said, put it back, put it back, put it back, because you still got some more plants to plant. Just put it back. But you have to, and it's other things too that you can catch on clearance. Sometimes I just walk through there to see what they have on clearance. I have found some good deals on pots on clearance. Y'all know the pergolas, or the pergola, not really the pergola, but the two garden structures we have. I caught them on clearance. They got a garden bench that I've been looking for, like a garden potting bench I've been looking for. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna wait, because they have a lot in, and I just don't see a whole lot of people buying the garden potting bench. So I just, sometimes, if every few weeks, just go in there and check and see what they got on clearance. Because I know those clearance tags, and it's like I do a real detector, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Because I'm gonna read a comment. I saw something about okay, wait a minute. Home Depot, and then I'm gonna go back up. Won't clearance their plants. I was told they get a credit from the grower because they dispose it. And that may be true, because I do see a lot of I see more clearance plants at Lowe's than I do Home Depot. Every now and then I have caught a clearance on Home Depot, but you're right. I noticed that Lowe's they have a lot of clearance. Walmart, I talked to the guy that does the plants for there. They had a bunch of clearance plants the other day. So you have to, I just kind of do a walkthrough, every few days and see, and I just assess some of the plants and say, like they put this, I don't know if y'all go to Walmart, but they have like a container. It's like three different plants. It's like the geranium, the spike plant, and then like it's not an ivy, but it's one of the spiller plants. So they did like a thriller, filler, spiller, and it was normally $20 and it was $7. And let me tell y'all, it took everything I had to walk out that store empty handed, because it was nothing wrong with the plants. The only thing is that the geraniums, they needed deadheading. That was it. Once you deadhead them, they are like, they just bounce back. The container was good. It was big enough. It's just that I'm the same way too. It's like when you see pretty plants, you immediately want to get them versus like if you got a pretty plant on one side and one that needs deadheading on the other side, then our human nature is automatically going to go to the pretty one. But I'm willing to sacrifice a couple of weeks and save a few dollars and bring it back to life. Y'all make sure you follow me on Instagram because when this plant starts to come back, I'm going to put it on there. I forgot the name of it, but they just it's not a sunflower, but it looks like a whole bunch of different sunflowers like together and they bloom all summer long and it's like an annual. But I knew that I was not about to pay $35 for it. Because like we discussed, I think last week, a lot of the plants I was looking at two today, and they really have gone up a lot, a whole lot. So I'm willing to deadhead a little bit. I'll do a little deadheading and put a little biotone in there, and just kind of nurture it for the next 2 weeks, and then I'll be fine. I will be fine. Let's see. I know I went up, and then I'm gonna go back down. Um, Irises are awesome for their color, but I wish bloom time was longer. Yes, irises are very beautiful. It's this place we go by, and they just bloom so beautiful. They do. I love irises. But you're right. That is what happens when you have like something that comes back every year, a perennial. Is that bloom time? Same thing with calla lilies. I love them, but it's like a few weeks and then it's done. So I mean, you can look at the leaf foliage; it's still there, but once it's done, it's done. So that's why I like to do like a mixture of the two. It doesn't take but a gust of wind at the right time to take an hours out. Yeah, there's some very beautiful plants though. Okay, and so I read the one about Home Depot. Could you ask them to sit next to the dumpster? Okay, so from 37 on was like they won't do the clearance. They won't clearance their plants, and so growing with Donnie was like, hey, could you ask them to sit by the dumpster and sit? And you know what? I haven't ever seen. That's a good idea. I have never seen them sit them by. Every time I've seen them about to get rid of the plants, it's like on the big rolling rack, and it's just like flats up there, and everything is just like. But that is that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So they get a credit. I learn something new every day. Gerber daisies. That is one of my gosh, that is one of my mom's favorite plants, the Gerber daisy. She absolutely loves those. Those for us, those are annuals as well. Yeah, those are annuals, but she loves those plants. She has like little containers every year, and they're coming out with such beautiful color. I'm telling you that is a it just though the Gerber daisies is like sunshine. It's like it'll brighten up your day. It's really I love those. Those are really pretty. Um, let's see what else we have here. Right, they shouldn't go to waste. They really should not. Even and especially growing with Donnie, especially if they're throwing away like some of the vegetable plants, because gardeners like us, if you give us an opportunity, we can bring them back. I know we can. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you on that one. But yeah, I do notice. I'm glad you put that out there because I maybe one or two times I've seen where there were plants that were marked down, but that was a while ago, and so that's what they're probably doing now is they get credit for it. But um, Lowe's right up the street from us, they'll have some pretty good, and it was a few that I wanted to take home today because they just really need a little love. That's all. Plants just need to be talked to. They need a little bit of love, love. But I say you got to get out of here because you got to finish planting all of this stuff. So I had to. Sometimes I have to talk myself out of the garden center because you got plants that you need to plant and you don't even know where you're going to put them. So That's why I wanted to see if y'all were on team annual or team perennial. So we do have a lot of team perennials out here, and I definitely understand why you're team perennial. I'm with you, but I'm gonna ride the fence on both. I'm riding the fence on both annuals and perennials. So to recap, perennials, they're beautiful, they're cost saving, they save you money all of the time. But unless it's some of the newer hybrids, a lot of them just have a certain bloom time span and then that's it. So you either have to be done or you have to compensate and design your space to where you're getting perennials where they bloom at different times. Like you might have one that bloom in early spring, then you have some that come on the onset of spring and summer, then summer and fall, so that you can see a continuation. And that's what my grandmother used to do. She did not have any annuals. They were all perennials, but they were all set up to where they bloomed at different times of the year. So you could do that. You can save money. And like I said, a lot of the perennials, you can actually divide them and give away to friends and families because that's exactly what she did with a whole bunch. Like, I don't even think when we were little that there was like a garden center. Well, it was like a hardware store, but I don't even think they sold plants. And to be honest, back in the day, I think that's how a lot of people garden is they shared cuttings or they shared or they divided different plants like perennials and they gave them away because it was maybe when I was like a early teen, that's when my mom was like going to the garden centers. Like I can't remember even when I was young, but she had she had a whole bunch of plants in the yard. She had crepe myrtles. She still has crepe myrtles. So yeah, that's how I think that's how they garden. But she didn't have annuals. My grandmother did no annuals, and quite frankly, they didn't have the money back then to like go to the garden center the way I hang out. Just basically hang out at the garden center. Um, but yeah, I just had to think about that. Some certain stuff. I'm telling y'all, that's how a lot of these lives come. Is I get to thinking about things, and the annuals just provide you with color all season long. Most of the time, up until the first frost or maybe the second frost, it'll take them out. Especially our petunias. They are so beautiful. And a lot of times, remember with the annuals, depending on what they are, you may have to cut them back so that they don't slow down the growth. Like our super petunias that we have, we are definitely probably in the next couple of weeks once my Shasta Daisies bloom because I'm waiting on them. I'm like, oh, y'all gonna make me wait. But once they bloom, and that was the same thing too with anemones. They're perennials, but they only like they have beautiful foliage. But once it starts to get cool, like late summer into fall, that's when they send up that beautiful pink flower and they just bloom so pretty. But they make you wait. The perennials make you wait, whereas the annuals, like they're blooming all season. You may have to deadhead, you may have to cut back, but you're basically telling the plant, don't go to seed, continue producing all of these beautiful flowers. Yes, hostas stay being a good. Yeah, hostas another one that my grandmother had. I'm glad you put that in there. Grow with TLC. Hostas was another one that she had, and you can divide those up too. That's how they garden back then. It wasn't like going to the garden center and getting to know the garden manager and just hanging out talking to the people there seeing what they got new. They had a whole new delivery today that was still wrapped in plastic, and I was there as if I worked there, and I said, if you don't leave these people plants alone. They had some elephant ears and they had some cannons that just came. And I said, if you don't leave these people plants alone and get home so you could get this live, I said, oh my God, you just, sometimes I go too far. So hostas is definitely one, and ours is coming up. We have some that produce those the purple stalks right there, but they actually come up at different times as well. So I do love perennials and I do love annuals. So I can't choose, y'all. I can't choose. I cannot choose. Let's see. Are weeds annuals or perennials? You have both annual weeds and you have perennial weeds. The perennial weeds normally are the weeds when you pull them and they have that long tap root on there. That's a perennial weed. But The ones that, like shallow rooted. But see, what happens with weeds is if you don't get them, or if you don't pull them before they start to, before they send out the thousands of seeds, then they're coming back. And it's crazy how weeds can germinate and germinate everywhere, but some of your seeds won't germinate. I'm not even gonna get started, but the way I know the perennial weeds is when I pull them. A lot of times it's hard to pull, and then when you pull them, they have like a long, what I call tap root or long root. Those are my perennial weeds, and you have the perennial weeds. You need to pull them up and try to get that root out there, because if not, they will be revisiting you again. They will come back. But the annual weeds kind of confuse people, because I know we're gonna have some weeds, because we had a lot of seed heads, and I just was like, whatever. I can't. Today's not my day to weed. So I know we're gonna have a lot of weeds coming up. So, and we've been having a lot of rain. Seems like when the rain comes, they really just like set in the weeds. But I guess that gives me something to do. That's why I tell people at work, just keep me gainfully employed. So to keep me out in the garden, pulling the weeds. Um, Hello, Urban Girl Gardening. How are you? Okay, so Growing with Jay says my Shasta Daisies are starting to bloom. Got them from Home Depot 2 years ago. $2 a pop. First year planting, annuals. Yes, I am waiting on the Shasta Daisies. We actually got those probably about the same time. So we must been. No, I think I got them from Lowe's. We must have been getting them around the same time, because they bloomed a little bit last year. And see, that's the thing with perennials too. Depending on perennials, because you have some perennials that are considered short-lived perennials, and then you have some that are like long perennials. So the long-lived perennials are things like the hydrangeas, the roses, the peonies, the azaleas, and you have some short-lived perennials too. But with perennials, they seem to get bigger and bigger every year, and they'll put on like more and more blooms each year. And the reason why I say that is because my azaleas, the first few years I had it, they bloomed a little bit, but I noticed the bigger that they get, the wider that they get, the more blooms they set. And that's the same thing with the Shasta daisies. They will they bloomed a little bit over like the last year and a half, but I'm telling you, those blooms that are coming now, I'm like, y'all don't make me wait, because I see you. Just open up and give me a show. Just give me, that's all I want. I just want a show so I can take some pictures. That's it. That's it. I just want to take some pictures. And then what I'll do is I'll deadhead them, because that's what I do a lot with the roses, just so they will come back. So during these months with the roses, I do what's called deadheading and pruning, because I know a lot of times you're supposed to cut them back like in the fall slash late winter for us. But a lot of times when I cut the roses to put in flower arrangements, I do like a little pruning too as well. And then they'll just like keep coming back for me too. So yeah, the Shasta Daisy is going to be so. That is, I found out about the Shasta Daisy when we went to Niagara Falls. We went to the botanical garden. Don't start me lying about the name, but it wasn't. It was like on the border of New York. Was it? I forgot what it was called, but they just had a whole row of the Shasta Daisies, and then they had like a purple. What did they have? The way they set it up, I got pictures of it. I was like, this is so beautiful. I have to have this plant. And when I saw it on clearance, they have some Shasta daisies now at the garden center that's actually blooming. But a lot of times they come from the greenhouses like that, to where they're to where they're blooming. But they were just such a beautiful plant. I'm waiting for them so I can get some more, because they're not watering them, and that's okay. They don't have to. And it is getting hot, like it was 90 degrees today, so it's okay. Also, if you till your soil, the weed seeds are exposed. Yes. So I try from 37 on. I try not at all to do any more tilling. Like when I first moved here and I first started to like break ground, we did till, but now I try not to even till, because not only you're right, you're bringing up the weed seeds, but you're also the microbes and things in the soil like that. Like you're also disturbing them as well. So I try my best not to do any tilling. Yeah, that's a good way to bring up some weed seeds. Some seeds too. I'm telling you, the weeds will take off. Yes, they will. They grow faster than the plants. Um, yeah, and when it rains, like it rained yesterday, it rained the day before, and I'm grateful because let me tell you, my cucumber plant was it looked like it doubled in size overnight, and now they actually have little cucumbers on there. I have been watching them like a hawk because we have been harvesting our tomatoes and they are so good. I made my kids taste it. I said, this is how a tomato is supposed to taste. And I'm not trying to be mean, y'all, but a lot of times I get some produce and they taste like nothing, but it's something about the tomato and it just tastes so good. And I'm just like, this is what I have been waiting for. Our purple basil, which is a annual, is coming up, so I can't wait to just do the purple basil. We got some regular Genovese basil too, but I don't know. I just like purple basil. It tastes the same to me, but it's just a pretty color in the garden. But that and the like the tomatoes together and the cucumbers, wow. And then we have some onions that are curing, but and they're ready for me to take in the house, and we're just gonna have a good time. I'm telling y'all, I just love the garden. It's amazing to see how one seed just like turns into so much. Um, I stay in the clearance out. The Shasta Daisies are definitely filled with tons of bloom this year. Growing with Jade, that is going to be so beautiful. I'm telling you, I fell in love with that plant as soon as I saw the Shasta Daisy. I fell in love. I try to buy my perennial plants in clearance after the blooms die back. Yeah, yep. And then like I said again, like in the late fall, just depending on what zone, because I know like some of y'all are in like colder zones, like 6A or something like that. So they may not have that, but I do like I try to wait till they put those perennials on clearance and getting ready to bring in those Christmas trees. When they ready to bring the Christmas trees in and they don't have any room for those perennials, a lot of times I know every year for like the past 5 years they have been putting those. That's how I get them. Like I tell people who come, y'all think I be spending a lot on these plants. Now some I have to really like it, like the David Austin roses. I paid full price for that. But I've seen some people who had them at their garden center and they looked really terrible. But it's a perennial. Go ahead if you can, get it in the ground, let it get the roots established, and then the next year is going to come up. Endless blooms hydrangeas. I couldn't think of it. I kept looking down there. That is the hydrangea now that it kind of blooms all summer. That's why they call them endless blooms. But again, we'll get a big flush and you may not get like they'll bloom but the flush won't be as big, but you still get color in a longer time span than you do like some of the traditional azaleas and things like that. Is it too late to plant seeds for Shasta Daisies? That one I don't know. I will have to look that up and see, because I know for us, I planted them like they have them out now. I planted them in the fall, and to be honest, I actually have some Shasta Daisy seeds, but I couldn't pass up the clearance. But I'm when I tell y'all, I'm always just starting seeds, just because I want to try something new. Um, and I do need to start those. Like you, even if so, you could probably keep them somewhere until they get big enough. Because I'm not sure what zone you're in, but they're perennial, and I know that I planted them during like the end of the summer, first of fall when they were on clearance. And like I said, they gave me a few blooms, but this year they are amazing. Okay, you're in Georgia 8B. I always say try it. I always say try it because they're a perennial. They're perennial for us, the Shasta. So even if you don't get blooms this year, um, you'll get them. You'll get them next year. Uh, Thank you for joining us, Urban Girl Gardening. She said, "Y'all stay up. Have a great weekend." Hello, Vegan Loopy. I hope I'm saying that right. So in September, you know that they have those trees out super early. Yeah. Right. Once the for us it's like October, yeah, end of September, October, because what are they putting out now? They're putting out like all of the 4th of July stuff. Okay, good, because sometimes I will mess people names up so bad, and I don't mean any harm if I do. So yeah, you're right. Around end of September, they're about to get ready to start with the Thanksgiving and the Christmas stuff, and they need to move that stuff out the way and get ready. And see, a lot of people are they put out a lot of pansies then, and then they have the beautiful um, little fall arrangements and stuff like that. But they have to make room for some of those Christmas trees, some of the stuff for Thanksgiving. So I'm telling y'all, when I tell you I stay up on them, sometimes I just go and I just do a walkthrough. I call it what I call a walkthrough. I do a quick walkthrough. If there's nothing in there, and I just come on out, because last season, $5 pots that were regularly like $25 to $45, $5. So I told the lady, you go ahead and get what you gonna get, because I knew she wasn't gonna get it. I knew she was gonna get. I think she got like two, and I'm like, I'm taking whatever you don't get. And so we've planted like mostly all of the pots now, but $5, because I was like, I know I wasn't gonna pay $45. Like, it would have to be a pot that we have now that's like self-watering and all of that, but just like a regular pot. Some things I have a limit and I have a budget to that what I'm going to pay. Now the perennials, yes, I will pay a little bit more, because I know that it's going to come back year after year after year. I have a limit on some of the annuals. That's why I like to go to the farm place that we did the YouTube video on, because they're very reasonable with their perennials and their annuals as well. And like I said, our brains are like always instant gratification. So if you don't mind getting them a little bit smaller, maybe in the 4-inch pots, they're going to grow as long as you water them, feed them, make sure they're okay. They're going to grow, because I'm looking at some of the ones I got now that are literally like overflowing over the pot. It may take about 3 or 4 weeks, but it'll get there. So thank you all for joining me today. So we have Team Perennials and Team Annuals. Um, I hope y'all have a great weekend, and make sure that you like and share this video. What are some of your favorite perennial veggies? I don't grow asparagus, but I do know that those are perennials, because I know a lot of people have to wait. Is it like 3 or 4 years also before they can actually start harvesting them? The strawberries for us are perennials. Like, we'll get a big flush in the spring, which we got our big flush. We're still getting a little bit on right now, but fall time we'll get another flush. Maybe not as big as spring, but we will do that. A lot of the herbs for us are perennials, like our lavender, our rosemary. Those are perennials. And like I said, it depends on where you're at, because I know a lot of people in South Florida, they overwinter their tomatoes and their bell peppers, and they last through the winter, and they just like it just comes back. It just pops up. A lot of the a lot of the, like our blackberries, our blueberries, those are perennials as well. I'm trying to think of other vegetables that are perennials. Now, as soon as I get off, watch, I'm going to have like a whole list of vegetables for you that are perennial. Rhubarb, I think, is a perennial as well. What do we have in our garden that has overwintered? Like a lot of our herbs. Yeah, a lot of our herbs have, but those are the ones that I can. Yeah, oregano. For us, those will keep going for us as well. The oregano, the thyme, we can overwinter them, and I love to keep them cut back so that they'll get like really, really uh, bushy. You are right, growing with Donnie. It will be a great video. I'm always looking for suggestions as well, but that will be a good one. Um, like all of the perennial vegetables that you can grow, but the ones that are like on the top of my head, I know are asparagus and rhubarb. I want to say, and like a lot of your herbs, and just depending on your zone, some of what we consider annuals can be perennials. Also, check your local gardening clubs. They usually love sharing, and you can come across some unique plants. No, from 37. Don't be sorry. Keep commenting. You're right. I'm in a actually gardening club here, and you're absolutely right. Like a lot of people here are because this is a military city, and a lot of people PCS like all year long, and they leave. And I know if they go overseas, you cannot take any of your plants. And so I am in a group that a lot of times they have to leave their plants, and they'll be like, I have this, I have some pots, I have some soil. Like they have to leave a lot of that stuff. So check some groups on Facebook that may be like for your local area, because a lot of times people are just, moving on, giving stuff away for free, or don't like it, or don't need it, or just any of those things. But the group here, it's a lot of wives that PCS, and they go on and they don't want to take all that stuff. Because I know I would do a lot of gardening overseas, and I would find someone who had an interest like me, and just it was sad leaving my plants, but it was also a great opportunity to buy new plants where I went. That's one thing I would do. I would find all the garden centers. I would learn enough to try to get people to understand what I was saying, so that so that I can get plants. No matter where in the world I went, I had some type. I was growing something. I don't care if we were staying on a balcony. We had something growing. And I'm going to do a video, because what was that I was growing? It was so many. It's so many people that think that you. I don't know. I think we've gotten in our mind that when you think about gardening, you're thinking about all this space and stuff like that. But it's I'm telling you, it's some people with the grow bags and the containers that are growing just as much as if you were growing like in the soil. And I mean, just reaping beautiful amounts of fruits and vegetables and flowers. And I love it. And that's what sometimes you just got to think outside the box. It'll grow in a pot. It maybe not grow as big, like the key lime that we have. When you look at the tag, the key lime says it grows about 10 to 15 feet high. But I grow them in a pot, and I know I had at least 12 key limes in my pot. And that's all. I mean, that made me happy. I'm like, oh, look at me. I got some key limes. I think I had last year like 10 or 12. They've already bloomed. The bloom smells so good. So I'm waiting on more key limes to form as well. So, yeah, you can grow annuals, perennials, even the perennials, although they get bigger, but you can still grow them in pots. A prime example, if you look at a lot of people growing the hydrangea, such a beautiful flower. You don't have to put it in the ground. Put it in a pot. It just won't grow to its full potential, but you still don't need a bunch of space to grow. And that's why I try to encourage everybody. Don't If you just got one pot, that's to me, that's gardening. Let me tell you, my middle daughter, and then I'm gonna get I'm gonna get off. Y'all know how I get long winded. Um, my middle daughter, she came back, okay, and she brought her. I sent her with a rosemary plant that I had made cuttings, and I told her, now you don't have to baby rosemary, but just make sure, it doesn't like wet feet, but just make sure. And this was like one little stem, y'all. I don't know if I could find the one stem, but I think she did a great job. She did a great job, and it is growing, you know? So I was like, one cutting that I just sometimes cut and trim it back, and just pull the bottom leaves off, and either stick it in some water and let it get some roots, or take some, it's called take root, like a growth hormone, and put it in some soil and let it grow. Yeah, you don't need a bunch of space. Containers, grow bag. I'm telling you, the grow bags has allowed so many possibilities. Like, y'all know, last year I grew sweet potatoes in grow bags. We're growing potatoes in grow bags. Um, it does not take a lot. So I'm glad that the grow bags came out. And then some people are even growing, like, I mean, you just have to think outside the box. Like I tell people, you can grow in anything as long as you have drainage. You can grow it. Just grow it. That's what we're doing, y'all. We just growing it. We are going to grow it, because these tomatoes are good. I wish I could give y'all some, like, right through this live, because I put some on my salad today, and it's just so. I see why the birds keep on, because it just has so much like juice in it. It's very juicy, and then nothing like a warm summer. It's not. It feels like summer for us, but nothing like a warm summer tomato. And I don't have to put these in the refrigerator. I put them right on our counter, like in a little bowl. And sometimes I just walk by y'all and just eat a tomato. Okay, growing with Donnie, grow on a balcony, and you have a lot. Exactly, you can have. That's why I say I think I don't know. I think the translation got lost somewhere where you have to have so much space to grow. You do not. You do not. Get your container and just think about this. Goes back to my grandmother. Like she didn't. You had to back then. You had to think outside the box. You had to use what you got, and you had to make it work. And that's what they did. She didn't have all these fancy pots or nothing like that. She used what she had. But I am glad that they came out with these grow bags, because it really helped a whole bunch of people like me who was staying overseas, reasonable price, but you could still grow. And just put that bag there and put you some soil in there. Make sure you got drainage, and just in a few months or in a few weeks, you will be growing whatever you want to. These birds about to get it. They're about to get it as soon, like my kids when I'm on the phone. You just wait. They're about to get it. Not really. I have a balcony garden. Yes, yes. I have overwinter tomatoes. Okay, Josie, I've overwintered tomatoes in Georgia 8B. I had to dig and bury them deep in the ground. Okay, and cover them with clear container to observe them, because temps got down in the 20s, but it survived. Yeah. So a lot of the southern states, I didn't even think about that. I think our first frost was like towards the end of November, and they was looking, and I was just went ahead and pulled them. But yeah, we have people that will overwinter the pepper and the tomato plants as well, and they come back, once the weather starts warming up, and they keep going. So that's amazing. Key lime pie, yes. Yeah. We had got key lime, and we had what I think they call them caladium. It's like a type of orange. Um, Maybe two or three, and then we have like the variegated lemon. I think I just got one off there, but I'm like, and they all grew in pots, and I'm like, it's mine, and I grew it. But I actually took the key lime. Like I like to drink like the key lime water in the morning, so I'll do it for that. But the key lime, I love key lime pie. I do. It's amazing. It is amazing. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Y'all know how I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to just kind of hang out with me and just have a garden chat. I am almost done getting everything cleared off, so that hopefully in the next few weeks we can just kind of sit out here on the patio and just chill out and discuss some things. So y'all know, if there's any questions that you have for me, make sure that you either DM me on Instagram. You can contact me on YouTube, or you can send me an email, Anna@southernentertaining.com, and we can talk about it, y'all, because y'all know I can talk about gardening all day long. Okay. Make sure you hit the like and the share button, and also share this with someone who is looking to start, has said they wanted to grow but just hasn't taken that leap. Make sure you share this information with them as well. So I am going to get off now, and you guys be safe this weekend. Thank you so much, Growing with Donnie, and from 37 on. I will definitely let you know when we get the seeds, and I do appreciate you. But y'all be safe and take care, and we are going to talk again soon. Bye, y'all.